All right, Black Hat Army. So today we welcome to another beautiful episode of El Gato's Financial Corner. I'm gonna go over a few opening topics on either questions that I received via DM, questions that I receive in the field through either first-time buyers, second-time buyers, investors, just general topics, and then add my personal opinion on behind that. If you're following us today here on YouTube, welcome. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe below as we continue to build our channel out. I will be bringing you everything from sports coverage, financial updates. I personally fight. We're going through a transition in my own fighting career, and there's a lot of exciting things coming along. So if you don't know who we are Black Hat Studios, El Gato Negro Studios. We are from Escondido, California, born and raised. We are a voice of the people, just truly creating, documenting, and creating content specifically for our viewers. Who are our viewers? Our viewers are people that have followed us through my fighting career, people that have followed us through my entrepreneurial career, people that have followed us through transactions, friendships that we've built along the way. And about a year ago, Chill Guy, aka Luis Garcia, LG Photography on Instagram, we doubled down on our content, on mainly content documentation. I myself am a student of Gary Vee and that era of content creation, which is document over create. I don't think that content should be created because then it has no foundation. The type of content that I like to document is things that are already happening, so that way once they already happen, it's recorded and documented, as opposed to me trying to create something out of thin air. My strategy around content documentation is very simple. I try to do the coolest things that I can possibly get myself into. I expand the discipline of my knowledge in my financial sectors, in my preferred markets. I'm not an expert in all financial markets. I'm only the expert in my financial markets, which quite frankly are San Diego real estate up to the Inland Empire, because we do transact there a lot. Shout out Hemet. Creative agency documentation, right? So as an athlete, as an entrepreneur, as now a young man shifting and becoming older, I've been able to experience a lot of different things, and in the common themes of those are marketing, business banking, business development. My passion, where it truly began growing outside of work, was when I was a business banker in San Francisco with the Hopes and Dreams team. Shout out to Mr. Romel Kizon and all everybody in that era. And I was encouraged to be better than what my job was. Just because I knew how to sell doesn't mean you should sell. And at the time, I was like, are you crazy, Rome? Like, what do you mean? Like, don't sell. Like, that's what we do here. Like, we're in Wells Fargo. That's what we do, is we sell. But then he said something that really to this day just continues to stick with me. It's be so good that you don't have to sell. And that stuck with me, because what does that even mean? At that time, I think I was like 23, 24 years old. Had just bought a house. Had just bought my first house here in San Diego. Transitioned up to the Bay Area. For those of you that know me further than social media, I went up there. My partner, she established a school up there, had the opportunity to just easily transition up there as a banker. And that was one of the biggest changes in my life, was going from where I was born and raised, which is here in Escondido, and going to the Bay Area, going to a place where, yeah, New York, that's the city that doesn't sleep, but the Bay, they don't sleep either. I don't know if you don't know that, or why isn't it not talked about enough, but the Bay Area also does not sleep. And the Bay Area is composed of three different worlds. One world is the East Bay. Shout out to the East Bay. That was my first exposure to the Bay. I had the pleasure of attending school at Cal State East Bay in Hayward, California. And the first drive that I went up there, everything just made sense. And I said, I have to be here. And then there's San Francisco, the city. That's where on the second time where I went back, I got the opportunity to work in the actual city. I was on Market Street, started on Second Grant. I had the opportunity, they blessed me with the opportunity as a young business banker to begin and continue my career there. And then 6 months later is when I went into middle market business banking with Ramel and the Hopes and Dream team, and everything just really took a flight. And as I continued to develop my banking career, as I continued to figure out what is it that I want to do with my life, it continued to just go into one section, which is I gotta get out of here. I gotta find out how to do it. I need to figure out where I can do it, and if there's any place that I can make it happen, or at least begin to make it happen, it has to be here in the Bay Area. I mean, the beautiful thing that I love about the city specifically is you could be riding BART and you could be shoulder to shoulder with the next person, and that person could be a billionaire. And the cool thing is and this is where I really got the biggest takeaway, was it just doesn't matter how you look, what car you drive, what type of money you seem to flex. Like, the only thing that matters is what you're about to go do and what you're about to produce in that day for yourself, for the world. And I just really took a lot of inspiration from being in the Bay Area, of knowing like, hey, like billion-dollar companies were built here from scratch. And if that is the top measure, I can only pray and hope that wherever it is that I land will be in a good measure to begin to set me up for success. So that was 2018, and in 2018 I decided to walk away from my entire career. I was at Wells Fargo, I went teller, and then I went personal banker, and then I went business banker by 23, and then that's when I made the transition to San Francisco. And by 24 I was already in middle market banking, right? So I had already gone up, and not already, but that's how bad I wanted to see or find out what this was about. Was 5 promotions in 5 years, got to middle market banking. And even as Wells Fargo went through that, the fire on the news, and they got accused of this and sales pressure that, like, even though all of that was going on, like, I was thankful as an employee, like, knowing my place as an employee, I was very thankful for the life that bank and that company had given me. So who am I to walk away when things get hard? You know, like that's not my character, that's not who I am. And especially at that moment, like, I was, even with everything that was going on, how can you tell me that this place is that bad when, as a college dropout, they offered me a career. I bought my first house at 23. I already had a new car. Like, all of these things that were promised to me after achieving college, or all of that traditional stuff, which does work, by the way. Like, I'm not talking shit at all. Like, it's either you go that way or this way. Like, there's anybody who else otherwise is lying to you. I'm an advocate for you to go to college. Like, if you're, for my younger audience, everybody high school and under, go to college. Like, for the bare minimum of just experience, if you're the first one in your family, get that checked off. Like, it's not about you, it's about, and this is what I understand now, it's about what you set up for the future, right? Because since I didn't get it done, my sister had to step up, get it done, with that unnecessary pressure that I could have relieved from her. But now that unnecessary pressure of being the first college grad, without me even being conscious of it, got passed over. I'm not surprisingly, she's smarter academically, and she got through business school, graduated from Cal State San Marcos. Extremely very proud of her, and to this day continues to build a business. That's what I should have done, right? And that's what I actually would recommend you to do. Is, now, if you're a purebred entrepreneur, you'll know it. You'll know. Like, there's no like, oh, it's this way or that way. No. If you're a purebred entrepreneur, you're already working. It's not about like, oh, I have the $1 million idea. If you do, power to you. But more than likely, the first business, the second one, the third, the fourth, the fifth, even the sixth, it's gonna fail. Like zero profit, 100% loss, 200% loss, 300% loss. Like that's the game. Like, welcome to the game. It's not fair, but you decided to not go to school. Does that make sense? It's not that you made a bad choice, it's that there's a new rule set in this side of the world. If you would have gone to college, you could play by that rule set, which is you go, you finish your college, you get good grades, you meet good people, you network, same thing that you do on this side, on the business side, you network and you put yourself in a great position for a high paying job. That is a great life. Like that's a blessed life to know that you could go in, clock in at 9 a.m. and your problems are over at 5. And you get to go home, you get to enjoy your family, you get to watch a movie. Even if you don't even like go to the gym or train or do nothing, you still get to go home, rest, unwind, unplug. Even if you're gonna bed rot, even if like it doesn't matter, you get to leave. Because when you run your own business, guess what happens? First of the month comes around, there's your personal life, right? You got your mortgage, you got your bills, you got your phone bills, you got your all of that, plus payroll, plus your office rent, plus insurance, plus the office bills, plus the thing, plus. Again, it's not that one is better than the other. It's just make sure that you know what you're signing up for, because that's what comes along with it. So anyways, that blurb was for YouTube. Now, going back to El Gato's Financial Corner, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be going through some speed fire comments, either DMs, specific questions, comments, concerns that I've personally received during buyer consultations, buyer questions, when it specifically comes to buying either your first home, your second home, or if you want to sell a home to buy your second nicer home, dream home, investment property. I've had the fortunate experience of helping someone that was divorcing, and I mean fortunate because we were able to middle ground it, create very, just keeping humanity at its centerpiece to make sure everybody was taken care of, right? And those are unfortunate situations that sometimes we have to deal with in the business. However, when you lead with integrity, when you lead with your heart, it doesn't matter what the financial output, meaning what everybody gets excited about in real estate, commission check is going to be. Like, do it right, that'll take care of itself. So specifically, this was a DM that I received on someone that already college grad, already has dual income, both college grads, dual income, they have good credit, but in this situation, they were still renting. And their question was, hey Raul, we've been noticing that interest rates continue to go up and they continue to go down. Honestly, can you tell me, is this a good time to buy or not? This is 9 times out of 10 the most common question that any real estate professional, loan officer, agent, investor, anybody in those realms will receive. Is it a good time to buy? Is it a good time to sell? Should I invest now? Should I wait later? Like, what is that? And it all truly comes down to one answer: is what is your risk appetite and what is your investment strategy? Are you going to buy this property and live in it and acquire the equity over the years because we know we're buying into a good neighborhood, you're going to live in the property, and there's no urgency to sell, and the question is, what do I do with my existing asset? My recommendation in this specific scenario is always the first. If we can, right? If we can financially put ourselves in a position where you can leverage your first asset, your primary home where you're living right now, before you buy your dream home or the other property that maybe you're moving out of state, maybe there's a better school across town on there, like whatever the situation may be, my recommendation always is don't sell, leverage your asset, buy another one. Why? Because I'll give you 3 reasons, just so we don't blab on forever. First reason is you're actually protecting your equity because you get to lend your own equity to yourself. And when you lend yourself that equity, you don't pay taxes on it for quite simply. For those of you that have not read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and maybe Mr. Robert, sponsor the channel. It's always best to, where was I going with this? Freaking Robert. Anyways, so where did I say, chill guy? Where was I going? What was the last thing I said? It was something about real estate. Oh, the reason is when you grab that equity is you cannot pay taxes on debt. So what you're doing, let's say you have $300,000 available in that primary asset. You say, hey Raul, I want to access these $300,000 because Stephanie and I are going to buy our dream home up here in Emerald Heights. So that property value is 1.2 million, which is, believe it or not, a very common price point for a single family home here in San Diego. And their current asset is on the other side of town, and it's anywhere between 600,000 and 700,000. Now they owe 400,000. Let's say the property is 700,000. They owe 400,000. That means that there's $300,000 in available equity, which means that when they bought the house, the original loan was 400,000 and now it's worth 700,000. That 300 difference in worth is called your equity. In case I butcher that example, you get the concept, okay? So moving forward. So now that you have access to that 300,000, okay, how do we get access to that? Usually, if you sell it, that's when you're gonna be able to get immediate access to that in cash, right? And you no longer have a loan. And you say, well, Raul, isn't that what we're supposed to do? I shouldn't have another loan on the other house. That way it's easier, because what's gonna happen if the market goes down? Well, in this specific situation, if you were to sell your house, talk to your tax advisor, you would now be in a new rule set of a tax code, because you technically made 300,000. So whatever that rule set is, boom, now applies to you, and you no longer have what the beautiful thing of an appreciating asset. So if you were to sell it, yeah, you got your 300,000 out after taxes, whatever those fees, you pay your realtor, closing costs, escrows, all of that stuff, right? So after that, you're probably gonna walk away with like what, 210, 250. I don't know, I'm not a realtor, I wouldn't have those fees top of mind. But okay, now if we go to the bank, right? Hey Raul, you're a banker? That's me. So Raul, I want access to those 300,000, but I don't want to pay taxes and I want to buy my other house. Okay, well, let's do on your current house, right? Since it's going to be now an investment property, you're planning to rent that out. Okay, perfect. Let's get an evaluation. What do rents go for? Okay, now we have all of those numbers. What do you owe? Okay, now we get to look at your financial statement and do 2 things at once. See what the numbers look like on either a refinance, right? Yes, refinance, scary word, which means now that we're turning this primary home into an investment property that someone's gonna rent out, there's really no rush on paying it down, right? Okay, so if we were to reset this loan that now our tenant is gonna pay off from here until the 30 years, you're no longer gonna pay that off. What is that looking like, and how much can we walk out with to put onto the next property? Or 2, we don't refinance, because let's say you did a 15-year mortgage, you're 7.5 years down, and you're like, I just rather figure paying it off. Okay, fair. That makes sense, right? And now if it was a 30-year mortgage, it'd be different. But if you're on a 15-year mortgage, let's look at those options. Okay, well, now we either have a second loan, which is an equity loan, fixed payments, you on the amount, and once you're done paying it, you're good. That is called a second mortgage, right? So you have your first mortgage, if it's $1,000, and then your payment on the second mortgage is $500, now your total mortgage is $1,500, okay? So now how do we take care of this? As long as what you're gonna rent for on this side, right, your initial home, as long as it's either at least $1,500 or let's call it 2,000, which is very, very reasonable for rents anywhere. Now you are cash flowing $500. So ding ding, why is this so important? Because now we get, as bankers, we get to count this new $500 towards your new purchase. So now we fix this. You said, all right, now we're gonna put a HELOC. That payment is $500. We got all this is nice and dialed in. Okay, so now we move over into your pre-qualification for the new property. So we identified it in Emerald Heights. It's 1.25. We collect the financials. Now we have an additional 500 in income. You have everything paid off, right? Or at least offset to where your tenant is going to be paying that off. And now we go into your loan. Assuming we take all that 300,000 and we put it into the new mortgage, then you're pretty much set with over 20% down, which eliminates PMI, private mortgage insurance. It'll more than likely, since we're going above 20%, put you in the best category for interest rates, because now the bank doesn't need to risk as much by lending you more than what is needed on PMI requirements. So that is the solution on how to acquire, or that would be my recommended strategy on how to acquire your second property. Maybe not your dream home, but definitely the next better one in your financial planning, and still maximizing on your initial asset. And why not sell? Again, these are my personal opinions and recommendations. Very simple. If right now you had access to 300,000, once your tenant is done paying off both your second and your HELOC and that new mortgage, or the existing mortgage, as time continues to go, you'll have access to maybe another 300,000 or maybe 500, who knows? But at least you'll still have access to that savings account, which is your initial asset. And congratulations, since you continue to stay in your lane and invest in what is currently working for you, your second asset is about to do the same thing. All right, moving on. Personally, I meet a lot of recent grads and young professionals who think buying a home is years away. But the truth, with your financial discipline, you can skip the waiting game. What does this mean? Yes, 100% that is correct. So as a grad, one, congratulations. You put yourself through pretty torturous studying for the hope of a better future. So congratulations, this is you reaping that benefit of that future that you worked hard for. So now, as a young professional, if you're recently graduated, you just started working, more than likely, you're probably gonna start taking home anywhere between $50,000 to $120,000 a year, depending on your respective profession, right? So if you're at the beginning of the scale, then I would begin to prep for options like FHA loans, which only require us 3.5% down. They are very flexible with student loans and credit scores that are beginning to build, right? Delinquencies and bankruptcies, all of those things, unfortunately, they still do harm. However, if your credit just isn't as developed, instead of going to buy that 2026 Mustang that's on the lot for $85,000, you're considering to buy a condo at least to get started with and drive that Corolla. Do that. Why? Because as you're jump starting your new way of life as a young professional, you're going to be more than likely 90% more successful in adapting to that style of life, because you still don't have a crazy car payment, 3 credit cards, a watch loan, and all this nonsense that we start buying because that's how we want to show our wealth, right? So this one is specifically for the recent grads that already want to start investing. They already have that income. They're already getting ready to go. My recommendation, if you're closer on that 50,000 mark, 50 to 100,000 mark, FHA loans, or even some conventional loan options with either 5 to 10% down. Now, if you're on a little bit more on the higher scale, let's say you just started at 120,000, you got a signing bonus of 15,000, right? Because you went to Berkeley, you got your signing bonus of 15K, and now you're at about 120K. So what do I do? If you're in the Bay Area, right? Like I very, very commonly see every single time, you're probably gonna go get a beautiful apartment that you're gonna pay $4,000 to $5,000 a month anyways, right? It's pocket change, because you're gonna be taking home maybe 10, 11, 12K a month after taxes, which is very, very, very good. So if we're already in that budget, maybe we can look at a different option. I'm about to blow your mind. Maybe instead of buying yourself a nice home for yourself, or even renting a nice home for yourself, you continue the college guidelines as you get established in your new career. You rent out a room, a couch, something crazily humble, to where the property that you buy is either an investment property, multiple unit property in maybe outside of your metropolitan area where you currently are, and you start cash flowing. You buy 4, 5 doors at a time. If you're in the Bay Area, maybe somewhere out deep in the East Bay, around those areas, and you begin to build that wealth at 22 years old. You buy 4 homes instead of 1. You're still on the couch. You're still low on your overhead expenses, and you take advantage of working and having that high income, because that's a big flex, man. 120 a year, 22 years old, like, you're gonna be all right. And after you do this, one thing that I will guarantee you, you buy 4 units for yourself, in 5 years, that example of the 300,000, you could probably X that by 3, by 4, by door, who knows? And then now, instead of buying your first home, you're gonna buy another 4 units, another 5 units, and the game continues. All right, last one for today. And this is my call to action to you guys. If you've been smart with your money and you're ready to put it to work, how can you level up through either real estate, let's call it the open stock market, crypto, gold, silver? How would you level up, or how are you currently leveling up? And send me a DM on your prospective market, and I'd actually like to interview you and get your knowledge on why this is your preferred financial vehicle. And lastly, you guys know where to find us. Unlockyourproperty.com. El Gato Negro, Raul Garcia, licensed loan officer. Can underwrite you anywhere here in California, and my team at RWM Loans. If I can't handle it here in California, we can underwrite anywhere in the state, anywhere in the country. And if you have multiple units that you're looking at, a single family home that you're looking at, a mansion that you want to buy, give me a call. We'll break all the numbers down. We'll put you in a great position. And if you have $100,000, $200,000 sitting around, and I know it sounds like I'm throwing this lightly, but guys, you're out there. Like, you know who I'm talking to. I can put that money to work for you. It's very, very easy to be a silent investor, because quite frankly, you get a spreadsheet, here's the property, this is the timeline, and when we exit out, here's the risk, but also here's the reward. So if you don't want to do long-term investing and you slowly build your portfolio, buy and holds, and you're interested more in an aggressive approach and just funding these joint ventures, send me a message, send me a quick email. We do have properties that come across our desk all the time. There are some cool things that we have lined up, but once again, to get more information on our firm, who we are, what we do, once again, my name is Raul Garcia, aka El Gato Negro. I'm a licensed loan officer here in the state of California. I specialize in North County transactions, business, guerrilla and digital marketing, and of course, sports coverage. So thank you for joining us today. We're going to continue to have some cool vlogs that we got lined up. So we're excited to continue bringing you this content. Once again, check us out on unlockyourproperty.com, where you can buy, sell, build, and invest. You already know, it's your boy El Gato Negro, checking out.